Sony, Insomniac and Marvel are really going all in with Spider-Man, because not just one but two Spider-Man games are in development at Insomniac right now, and one of them is of course the Miles Morales PS5 title, and we got a better idea about the size, the content and learned some more about the story. And I also want to touch on the future beyond that. So a like on the video would be super appreciated. And let's go. You likely already know about my June giveaway that is going on the channel. If you haven't participated yet, then do so via the link in the pinned comment. And you have to be a subscriber of the channel as well if you want to participate. I will announce the winner in early July. Not Brian Intihar, but Brian Horton is working on Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. As we see in the new video they released, not a lot of new info in this one. But already knowing that it's not Brian Intihar who is working on this standalone game is very huge. He was the creative director on the original, one of the main leads who pushed the PS4 game in the direction it ended up in, and he was really the front-facing guy of the whole marketing campaign. And now we learned that he's not directly involved with Miles Morales on the PS5. Now we see Brian Horton step into that role for this standalone title. I joined Insomniac near the end of Marvel Spider-Man, and being able to collaborate with our team and Marvel to create a new story and experience all around Miles Morales has been a career highlight. It's been great to also work with Brian Intihar, who directed the first game, as he continues to imagine big things for the Marvel's Spider-Man universe. Insane, right? It really feels like this Miles Morales game is just an appetizer for that big sequel that will likely launch relatively soon after this PS5 launch game. Like, I can see fall 2022 happen if a team is already working on it right now and enhancements for the PlayStation 5 are already being prepared for Miles Morales. Like, from there you would think that Insomniac can turn out a sequel relatively quickly, right? Oh, and one last thing, many of you fans have wondered if Peter Parker is okay. Don't worry, we still have much of Peter's story left to tell. Insomniac also notes on the PlayStation blog. So Peter's story will likely continue in the true sequel, and I would not be surprised if we then switch between the two characters and maybe have co-op. Like, that was always an easy prediction after seeing the ending of the main story, and of course also from the DLC. And after seeing the announcement of this standalone game, that theory makes even more sense. So they want to flesh out the story of Miles first before we head into part 2. But also, let's be honest here, the big reason that we have this title is because Sony wanted a good PlayStation 5 launch exclusive. Because really, apart from Spider-Man Miles Morales, they have nothing. And this isn't even a full game. And as Jason Schreier already reported, it's more like Uncharted The Lost Legacy. You will experience a full story arc with Miles, one that's more akin to a game like Uncharted The Lost Legacy in terms of overall scope. And Uncharted The Lost Legacy was around the 7 hours long, as we see on How Long to Beat, and on that same website we see that Spider-Man is noted for 16.5 hours. It took me like 25 hours to really get everything, to get the platinum if I recall correctly, so Miles Morales should be half of that if it also has the same amount of side content. And that makes sense after like 2 years of development time and not even the full Insomniac Spider-Man team on this game. So it's good to keep your expectations in check when looking at this title. Like, don't get me wrong, I still think this will be super awesome. But I don't think things like the symbiote suits or maybe the whole Yuri transformation that was teased in the DLC will be part of this game. Like, they're likely saving those big guns for the true sequel. Although I do hope that we get a Miles Rhino round 2 in this game somehow. That would be awesome. We wanted to give players a new story with new set pieces, fresh villains and a unique quest across Marvel's New York City. She has multiple villains that we haven't seen before, where we of course only really had Hammerhead as the main villain in the City That Never Sleeps DLC, So that already shows you that this standalone game will be bigger than those story chapters. But yeah, I wish we had a new area, and that doesn't seem to be the case at all. Like, how cool would it be if we could discover Brooklyn in this game, something that would make sense looking at Miles Morales, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They talk about Miles' new home in Harlem and how that is at the heart of the battle. And Harlem is of course already a region in the PS4 game, and with the trailer only showing familiar locations, it makes me believe that this standalone title will be set in the same open world. I mean, sure, it will still look better on the PlayStation 5, and it's winter now, so we get snow, but I'm not sure if that will be enough to make this game feel like a new title. And not just Spider-Man PS4, but we play a different Spider-Man, although Miles should be quite different of course. We will experience the rise of Miles Morales as he discovers new powers that set him apart from his mentor Peter Parker. And in this short video they actually revealed new concept art with them together, saying that he has trained with Peter, as we of course already saw start at the end of the Silver Lining DLC. So they have been training for quite a while now, because Insomniac now shared that the game takes place about a year after the events of the first game. So as kind of predicted in my previous video, looking at Miles, who now looks a bit older and experienced compared to the main game. But the question remains, Peter is okay, but what is he doing? Like, why is Miles defending the city alone? I'm sure we will find out at the start of the game. I still think that the vacation that was teased in the Silver Lining DLC is a possibility. Or maybe Peter went to Symkaria to help MJ, because she of course went to this war zone at the end of The City That Never Sleeps. So maybe that has something to do with it. Marvel's New York City is covered in snow, and just before Christmas break, a war between an energy corporation and a high-tech criminal army has broken out. And we of course already saw many of these neon-looking enemies that aren't afraid to use robot hands to get an edge over Spider-Man. And the energy corporation could of course very well be Roxxon. We actually already have their building in the main game, like you can visit it right now, it's over here on the map. So Harlem is at the heart of the battle in this standalone game, but this building can be found in the financial district, so on the other side of New York City. Maybe teasing that the whole map of Spider-Man PS4 will be used in this PS5 title. This corporation was already teased in one of those daily bugles they released before Spider-Man PS4 came out, as highlighted by Evan in one of his pre-launch videos. And I will link to his channel in the video description. Totally check him out for more Spider-Man coverage. And Roxxon has a history with Miles as one of the villains in the Ultimate Comics. The Tinkerer as a villain who tries to take revenge on Roxxon would also make a ton of sense in this game. And we actually saw this guy in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie helping out with the crazy alien weapons. Taskmaster was actually also hired by Roxxon at some point. We defeat him of course a couple of times in the main game, and then at the end he says the following.
Why are you stalking me?
An organization hired me to see if you're worth recruiting.
I'm not sure if we ever found out who hired him, but what if it was Roxxon, a company that is now making crazy robots and wanted to see what Spider-Man is doing. Just speculating of course, and all your theories are more than welcome in the comments down below, or you can also send them to my input@JorRaptor.com email address. And speaking of electricity, we of course already saw the bio-electricity move in the trailer and the camouflage. So apart from that, Miles swings a bit different. Insomniac calls it flaily. But yeah, in combat, really the special moves, like also the Venom Blast, will make him feel different compared to Peter, who relied more of course on his gadgets. Although Miles can use gadgets too, as we see in this tweet that Insomniac recently put up. And as I said before, the suit mods will also be returning in this game. And it also should feel physically different to play with Miles thanks to the haptic feedback on the new DualSense PS5 controller. So you get like different resistance depending on what you do. Really curious how this works, but we have to see it in action first. By the way, quick side note, Beatboxing Moose made this awesome mock-up inspired by Spider-Man Miles Morales. I would buy one for sure. And also thanks to the SSD in the PlayStation 5, we should expect no load times. They call it a seamless experience. So RIP subway rides, I guess. And thanks to ray tracing, the reflection should also be more realistic. We don't really see that in the trailer, but I always look at this Watch Dogs Legion demo that I think does a great job of highlighting what RTX means. Insomniac will share way more details about the game in the coming months. There's a rumored August state of play happening, so I totally think that Spidey will swing by there. And when we know more, I will of course let you know here on the channel. So totally subscribe to miss nothing regarding Miles Morales. A like would be super appreciated. And totally check out my previous video with more info on the game. For now though, I will speak to you next time and goodbye.